An Airbnb business is not automatically automated. It doesn't just automate itself. Like, you have to automate, you have to know how to automate. Otherwise, you end up doing the cleaning, the maintenance, the communications all yourself. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Jorge Contreras Show, a podcast for real estate investors, entrepreneurs, and those who want to get to 10K a month with Airbnb, with or without owning property. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking about how to automate your Airbnb business. Before I actually start breaking down exactly how to automate your Airbnb business, I want to talk about why it's important to automate your Airbnb business. Here's the thing. Most people that start an Airbnb business that don't have any entrepreneurship or business experience, what they end up doing is actually creating another 9 to 5 for themselves, because an Airbnb business is not automatically automated. It doesn't just automate itself. Like, you have to automate, you have to know how to automate. Otherwise, you end up doing the cleaning, the maintenance, the communications all yourself, basically creating another 9 to 5 where you're still trading time for money. And the main reason why people get into Airbnb is because they want time freedom. They want to do more of the things that they enjoy with the people they love. They want to create financial freedom. They want to be their own boss and basically work for themselves, build their own last name and their legacy ultimately. And so that is why you want to learn how to automate an Airbnb business, so that you could work on the business, not in the business, and so that the business consistently on a monthly basis continues to produce cash flow without you needing to be there physically, with all the little tedious things that are necessary but don't require you to do them if you learn how to automate. And again, this is the reason why I decided to get into Airbnb 5 years ago, because the previous business that I had always needed me to be there. You see, I had built a business that required me to be there, and therefore it wasn't really that passive. It wasn't really automated. And so I let go of that business that I ran for almost 10 years and transitioned to Airbnb, because I knew that people, when they book my Airbnbs, they're going to stay at my properties. They don't care about Jorge Contreras or meeting him or knowing who the host is. They just wanted to check in, have a great experience, check out, go back home, and that was it. So this episode, again, we're talking about how to automate the business. So now that we talked about why, let's talk about the 3 operations that are involved in running a short-term rental business, and that is cleaning, maintenance, and communication. The only one that is going to be on an ongoing basis that requires you to always be there in person, because there's 4 to 8 cleanings a month, is of course the cleaning crew. Your maintenance crew, that's going to be from time to time. It could be every couple of weeks, it could be every couple of months. The communications you do completely virtual. Now, let's start with communications. I typically do recommend that you, as the Airbnb host who's just starting this business, do your own communications for the first, 1 to 2 months, just so that you can get the experience. And then as you start to get into your 3rd, 4th, and beyond Airbnb, you definitely want to hire a virtual assistant that can do all the communications for you. And I got 2 websites for you that I want to share that I've used since I started my business 5 years ago with Airbnb specifically. And the first one is virtuallatinos.com. Again, virtuallatinos.com. The second website is onlinejobs.ph. Again, online jobs and then ph for Philippines.com. These are the 2 websites where I've hired virtual assistants to basically do all the communications for me. One of the cool things about the onlinejobs.ph website is you can actually search for titles for specific experience. And if you go in there and you put Airbnb Communication Manager, you're going to get a list of people that have already been doing communications for months and years. In fact, a lot of virtual assistants from that Filipino website used to work for Airbnb in various departments. So a lot of them already have experience. There's a VA, his name was Simon. He used to manage or do communications for my Airbnbs. And by the time I brought him on board, He was already doing communications for 30 short-term rentals in Japan. So he had a lot of experience. I didn't have to train him from scratch. So again, I recommend you do the communications at first for the first couple months, 1, 2, maybe 3 months max. Once you start growing to your third, fourth, and beyond, you definitely want to let go and delegate the communications. Now let's talk about the maintenance, and I'll leave for the cleaning at the end. That is a much more in-depth training and topic to go over. For your maintenance crew, you're not going to have any of these people on payroll. You're not going to be having them like where you pay them a fixed amount every week or every month. It's going to be on a per project basis. That's typically how handyman work. I find them on Yelp. There's a Thumbtack. There's a lot of websites out there where you could hire people in your area. You could also look them up on Yelp. And once you contact them, again, they're used to working for the most part 7 days a week, random hours, because guess what? Handyman usually, like the other day, we actually had a leak in our home that we live in. And it was a leak that was coming from underneath the toilet. We called the handyman and he was like, sounds good. I'll be there within an hour, right? Came and basically handled it. And so handymen are used to working rare, weird hours on any day of the week, because that's basically the way the cookie crumbles, especially if it's a plumbing issue. They're typically available. That's how they make their money. So that's basically how that works. And I recommend having 2 to 3 handyman, just in case one happens to not be available. Typically, the handymen are going to do their handiwork, minor repairs and leaks during the window of between 10 and 4. So if you have your guests checking out at 10 a.m. and new guests potentially checking in the same day at say 4 o'clock, then you got a 6-hour window. As soon as your cleaning crew arrives to clean the property, the first thing they should do is do like a little minor inspection to see if anything needs to be done by the handyman. If there's a small leak, a minor repair, if there is, they should communicate directly, but also let you know of what's going on so you're in the know. And that way they could basically come to the property and handle it. So this way you could provide a 5-star experience for each and every guest. Okay. Now let's go over to the cleaning crew. And the cleaning crew is, if you had to pick, everyone is important on your team, but the cleaning crew is a really big responsibility, because cleaning is probably the most important thing from your Airbnb. Like, it doesn't matter how amazing the property looks, if they show up and it's not extra clean, so clean that they could lick the floor, you're going to have some challenges. People are going to be asking for partial refunds. If they have kids, they're not going to feel comfortable. So again, you want to make sure that you have a solid cleaning crew, and you're only going to know over time. Sometimes people say, hey, Jorge, when you hire a cleaning crew, how do you know they're going to be good? It's like, well, you don't. I mean, you could speak to past references. You can look at, their reviews, maybe on Yelp or on any social proof websites. But ultimately, you're not going to really know until you've hired them and worked with them for some time. That's like going on a date and saying, hey, how do I know this is the person I'm going to marry or I'm going to be with for the rest of my life? Like, you don't know. Time will tell. So the best thing is to just hire them and set the right expectation. Look at the reviews after each and every guest checks out to make sure that they're getting a 5-star review on the cleaning, because there's 6 categories when a guest leaves a review, and one of those is cleaning. That'll directly reflect on how good of a job the cleaning crew did. Okay, but let's talk about some of the things that you need to delegate to the cleaning crew. Okay, number 1 is, of course, they're doing the cleaning. And like I mentioned earlier, just to refresh, you want to have them do a little inspection before they start the actual cleaning, in case there's any repairs, in case there's any leaks that they need to contact the handyman for. They should also do an inspection to verify if anything is missing. In the past, it has happened where, oh, we're missing 4 of our pool towels, or hey, we're missing this little thing. And we can always have our team submit a claim, charge the guest for anything that is missing, right? But the time to do this inspection is before they start cleaning. The next thing is, I call this like the runner. Let's say that And by the way, you should always hire a cleaning crew that lives within 15 to 20 minutes max from the property. Because let's say that your guests need some extra blankets, some extra towels, like anything minor, you could always have them be the one who goes to the store, picks it up. However, I do have a hack that we started to implement in the last few months, and that is using Instacart. And I don't know why I never thought about this until actually one of my students told me about this. And the funny part is me and my wife have been using Instacart for our personal home even before the pandemic. We're like, we don't want to drive to the grocery store. Let's just order it, have somebody pick them up. So then one of my students was like, Jorge, why don't you Instacart stuff to the Airbnbs? And I was like, oh my God, that's a genius idea. So a few months ago, there was a situation where the oven stopped working and we just Instacarted an oven. If you don't know what Instacart is, it's basically a delivery service. They will go to any store in your area and pick up whatever you need. You basically select the items, you pick everything, you select a drop-off window, and usually inside of 1 to 2 hours, they can drop it off. So I went on there, we ordered the oven, boom, it got dropped off. The guest was like, whoa, that was really fast, because they wanted to, cook a turkey and the oven wasn't working. So long story short, Instacart is now even more effective. And as long as it's over $10, it's actually free. There is a small membership fee. I think I pay like $10 a month. It might have increased a little bit now, but it is so worth it. But in the event that it's something that, let's say, Instacart can't do, you want to have your cleaning crew available to be able to deliver anything that the guests need. And that's why it's so important that they're there, that they live within 15 to 20 minutes. Another thing very important when hiring a cleaning crew is making sure that they are available 7 days a week, 365 days out of the year. And here's why. There was one time where I was about to hire somebody, everything was perfect. And then at the very end, they said, hey, Jorge, I don't work on Sundays. And I was like, oh man, well, guess what? People check out on Sundays. I need somebody that is available 7 days a week. People check in and check out on holidays like Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, Valentine's, Mother's Day, Father's Day, right? So you want to make sure, once again, that they're available basically anytime. The next thing, anytime you pay somebody $600 or more in a calendar year, meaning between January 1st through December 31st, they must sign a W-9 form. A W-9 form is a document that classifies someone as a subcontractor. And if you pay somebody, again, $600 or more, and you don't collect that form, you cannot use that as a tax deduction. So you need to have your handyman, your cleaning crew sign these forms so that you could do your taxes properly and do everything correctly, okay? Let's see, the next thing, we talked about them being a runner, the W-9. They're going to be cleaning anywhere from 4 to 8 times a month. So they need to be available during that cleaning window. Does that make sense? Again, from 10 to 4. It could also be 11 to 3, but as you start to get a second and a third property in the area, I do recommend that you open up that window from 10 to 4 to have a 6-hour window. And if you ever have, like, say, 3 guests checking in on 3 different properties on the same day, you could just message the guest and say, hey, what day of the week what time today are you checking in? Or what time next week when you check in are you checking in? Because some guests don't arrive until 8 p.m., 10 p.m., midnight, 2 in the morning, just depending on their travel schedule, their flight schedule. So if someone's arriving super late, then there's no need to rush. Your cleaning crew now has the option to basically clean that one at the end. Another pro tip is you want to give actual calendar access to your cleaning crew. And I'll share 2 options. One, you can actually add them as a co-host so they can see the calendar. Only challenge with that is they also can see the actual bookings and how much you're charging per night and all that stuff. If you don't want them to be able to see that, you can actually create a Google account and sync the Google and Airbnb account. So that way they only see what's actually in the calendar. So this way, again, you automate the business. And by the way, if you want to go really in depth, there's a book that I recommend. It's called E-Myth Revisited. Again, E-Myth, and that's M-Y-T-H Revisited by Michael E. Gerber. And he talks about working on the business, not in the business, the 3 levels of entrepreneurship. And I just highly, highly recommend it. Again, for anybody here, I will do a Q&A section a little bit after the podcast here. So if you have questions, just hold them to the end. So we're talking about delegating to the cleaning crew, being the runner, the W-9 form, living 15 to 20 minutes from the property, giving them direct access to the calendar, the W-9. Essentially, those are the main things. And here's the thing. The reason, again, that it's so important to delegate these 3 operations is because those are the 3 operations in an Airbnb business. It doesn't matter if you own it, sublease it, or co-host it. You're still going to have those 3 operations. And if you want to one day have 5, 10, 15, 20 Airbnbs, you have to let go of all those things and find somebody that can do those things for you. Just to kind of go over a brief overview, in the E-Myth Revisited, it talks about the 3 levels of entrepreneurship. Level 1 is the technician. All they care about is what do I do and how do I do it. If a technician had an Airbnb, they would do the cleaning, the maintenance, and the communication, all to save money. That would be their excuse. They would become the bottleneck of the business, not allowing themselves to grow, because how many Airbnbs can you do the cleaning, maintenance, and communication for? They end up just trading time for money, creating another 9 to 5 for themselves. The second level is the manager. The manager now manages the 3 technicians. So you become the manager. Now you have somebody that does your cleaning, someone that does your maintenance, and someone that does your communication. Now you're overseeing what's happening in the business. And while your team is doing those 3 technician activities, you can go and find your next Airbnb, start calling more landlords, right? The third level is known as the entrepreneur, also known as the visionary. And this is when you're truly working on the business, not in the business. This allows you to grow and scale. You basically hire a manager that manages your technicians, allowing you to grow and scale faster. Okay. Essentially, that's everything in order to automate your Airbnb business. I hope that this podcast episode was valuable. Make sure you guys check out the link in the description down below, because I do have a free ebook that I want to give to you guys. Thank you so much for checking out this episode. Make sure you guys follow me on YouTube and on Instagram, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.